Chapter 51.
I'm almost back, Edward,
Alice thought, darting through the woods towards the house.
I still can't see anything, so I'm assuming you didn't kill him.
Jacob held out his hands for Renesmee. Can I?
I'm actually holding her so that my hands aren't free to kill you, Jacob,
Bella replied seriously. Emmett laughed softly. Maybe later. The back door flew open as Alice scurried inside. Her face said,
I want these wolves out of my vision. You, and you,
she snapped at Jacob, Leah, and Seth.
If you must stay, get over in the corner and commit to being there for a while. I need to see.
She looked at Renesmee, her brow furrowing.
Bella, you'd better give him the baby, too. You'll need your arms free anyway.
As Bella handed the baby to a thrilled Jacob, Alice turned to Jasper, who was clearly unhappy.
It will be fine,
she mouthed to him, jumping up to kiss his cheek. He smiled a little, touching her hair, before she flitted back to Bella. The wolves headed over to the far wall, where Jacob and Seth sat down, but Leah remained standing, still tense.
I don't need this. I'm out of here. Am I allowed to leave?
She asked. Of course, said Jacob.
Stay east so you don't cross Charlie's path,
Alice muttered.
Do you think I'm stupid?
Leah banged out the back door. She's upset, panicked, Jasper suddenly thought urgently. Bella. I turned swiftly, catching a look of desperate, red terror in Bella's eyes. She was clearly second-guessing herself. I moved close, touching her face gently. You can do this, I said softly. I know you can. I'll help you. We all will. She was afraid or uncertain. We could all leave right now. Someone could intercept Charlie, slow him down, while I got Bella to a safe distance away. But I knew that she would be able to control herself around him. And I realized I wanted this to happen. As much as I hated to admit it, while Jacob had been motivated by his desire to keep Renesmee close, what he had done was as much for my wife as for my daughter. It would mean the world to Bella not to have to be separated from Charlie. If I didn't believe you could handle it, we'd disappear today, this very minute. But you can, and you'll be happier if you can keep Charlie in your life. Alice glanced at Jasper, raising her eyebrows, and he released a wave of calm confidence, feeding mainly off my emotions. Bella's expression remained tight, but her breathing slowed slightly. Alice handed her the contacts she had retrieved from the dresser table at the cottage.
These will irritate your eyes. They won't hurt, but they'll cloud your vision. It's annoying.
We had all had to wear them during assorted times, when our changing eye color might be scrutinized. Sometimes during overseas travel, to better match a passport photo. Those were especially made topaz color. The ones Alice had purchased for Bella were darker, chosen to cover red eyes. We had used similar ones in the past for Jasper, on a few unfortunate occasions.
They also won't match your old color, but it's still better than bright red, right?
She tossed Bella the box. Bella looked confused.
When did you... Before you left on the honeymoon. I was prepared for several possible futures.
I tensed, looking down, not wanting to relive Alice's visions of my having to change Bella on the island, either because of uncontrolled wantonness or my own weaknesses. And then there had been the truly terrible visions, few and fleeting, but leaving me shaken, ashamed, and certain I was nothing more than a black cloud on Bella's life. "Edward," Jasper admonished. I glanced over and saw him watching me with calm, aware eyes. "Whatever you're doing to yourself, stop. Now is not the time." I nodded slightly, inhaling, trying to refocus on the present and not the past. I watched Bella open the box. She picked up a contact, pressing it into her eye. She blinked and then frowned, looking around.
"I see what you mean,"
she grumbled as she put in the other contact. She blinked up at me, startlingly different, with her crimson orbs covered by a dark, dull brown. Her fair skin still flushed by the hunt yesterday.
"How do I look?"
"Gorgeous, of course,"
"Yes, yes,"
Alice interrupted.
"she always looks gorgeous."
Alice explained how the venom would disintegrate the contacts after a few hours.
"So if Charlie stays longer than that, you'll have to excuse yourself to replace them. Which is a good idea anyway, because humans need bathroom breaks."
She looked Bella up and down, and then shook her head.
"She doesn't look human, even with the contacts." "Esme, give her a few pointers on acting human, while I stock the powder room with contacts."
Esme raised her eyebrows.
"How long do I have?"
Alice envisioned Charlie passing down the road a few minutes from our drive.
"Charlie will be here in 5 minutes. Keep it simple."
Esme took Bella's hand.
"The main thing is to not sit too still or move too fast."
Emmett nodded. "Sit down if he does. Humans don't like to just stand there. Let your eyes wander every 30 seconds or so," Jasper said. "Humans don't stare at one thing for too long."
"Cross your legs for about 5 minutes,"
Rosalie added.
"Then switch to crossing your ankles for the next 5.
As my family threw suggestions at her, I glanced over to check on Renesmee. She was seated in Jacob's lap on the floor, her hand on his neck, as she replayed the various scenes from the day. Her distress at discovering Jacob had left. Emmett and Jasper looking like idiots, doing handstands to try to amuse her. Bella's angry reaction when Jacob had returned. Jacob remained silent, letting her sift through the images, as he gently caressed one of her soft curls between his fingers.
"No, I think I've got it all,"
I heard Bella say, drawing me back.
"Sit, look around, blink, fidget."
Emmett grinned. "Pick your nose, scratch your butt." Emmett had his own ways of acting human, generally to Rose's dismay. I glared at him before he could share his ideas.
"Right,"
said Esme, hugging Bella. Jasper frowned, thinking about his struggles at school. "You'll be holding your breath as much as possible, but you'll need to move your shoulders a little to make it look like you're breathing." Bella took an unsteady breath, looking nervous. I wrapped an arm around her. "You can do this," I said softly. Alice saw a vision of Charlie knocking on the door and noted the time as she glanced at the clock on the mantel.
2 minutes. Maybe you should start out already on the couch. You've been sick after all. That way he won't have to see you move right at first."
She grabbed Bella's hand and pulled her to the couch. Bella moved with an exaggerated slowness, swinging her arms and legs in a strange, awkward manner.
"What the heck was that supposed to be?"
Rosalie thought with a grin.
"We said human, not drunk."
Alice rolled her eyes.
"A born actress. Even she wasn't that clumsy. Jacob, I need Renesmee,
Bella said urgently. Jacob looked unhappy. That seems like a bad idea. He stayed on the floor, clutching Nessie, glancing briefly at me. Alice was shaking her head as Bella suddenly blurred out of her vision.
No! Bella, that doesn't help me see. But I need her,
Bella said, suddenly pleading.
She keeps me calm. Fine,
Alice muttered with a sigh.
I hope you appreciate what I go through for you. Hold her as still as you can, and I'll try to see around her.
Jacob remained still, and I raised an eyebrow at him. He sighed. Yeah, I know. You could still throw me out. As Jacob got up and approached, Alice's vision faded completely. She watched him with impatient eyes as he handed Nessie to Bella and backed away. When he was sat back against the wall, she concentrated on Bella, finding her slightly blurred. Only her head and shoulders were unobscured by Renesmee's presence, but clear enough to watch her movements.
This is going to give me a headache,
she grumbled.
Is Nessie ready for such close proximity to a human?
Esme looked at me with a worried expression, and then we turned our eyes to Renesmee. She was quiet and still, sensing the tension around her. Although she controlled herself fairly well around Jacob, I knew she was still very aware of the scent of his blood, and Charlie's would be far more appealing, and I was afraid she would be tempted to communicate with him by her gift, something that I suspected would overwhelm Charlie beyond what he could handle. I knew that she instinctively sensed and understood that Jacob and Seth were different from herself, as well as her family. Although she had bitten Jacob, she controlled herself around Seth, even when tempted, understanding that the parameters were different with him than with Jacob. I thought that, if explained, she could grasp new parameters for her grandfather. I sat down next to Bella and Renesmee, wrapping my arms around them. I leaned over to catch Nessie's dark chocolate eyes, and she gazed back.
Daddy!
I felt a soft thrill at the word. Renesmee, someone special is coming to see you and your mother, I said quietly. But he's not like us, or even like Jacob. We have to be very careful with him. You shouldn't tell him things the way you tell us. Renesmee put her hand on my cheek, showing a memory of her reaching up to touch Jacob's face and share her thoughts. Exactly, I smiled, pleased she could so clearly understand my words. And he's going to make you thirsty. Her mind filled with the memory of Jacob's scent, the sweet, enticing aroma hidden in deep musk. But you mustn't bite him. He won't heal like Jacob. She frowned, remembering the sight of small, fading tooth marks in Jacob's skin. I nodded.
Can she understand you?
Bella asked, looking shocked. She understands, I said. You'll be careful, won't you, Renesmee? You'll help us. Renesmee reached up and touched my face, her mind filled with the image of sinking her teeth satisfyingly into Jacob's chest. There was a questioning air in her vision. No, I don't care if you bite Jacob, I said. Please do. That's fine, Jacob laughed, remembering all the times Renesmee had bitten him. Let's hope the mother has better self-control than the daughter, for Charlie's sake. I glared at him. Glad you find this so funny, mongrel. I wish he could feel the burn Bella was going to face thanks to his actions. Maybe you should leave, Jacob, I snapped. Jacob balked, glancing at Renesmee. I told Charlie I'd be here, he said. Moral support. Moral support? I laughed. Please. I had seen the look of horror on Charlie's face when Jacob phased. As far as Charlie knows, you're the most repulsive monster of us all. Repulsive? Said Jacob. Says the creature that sucks blood out of people? He laughed lightly. Priceless. I watched Charlie's approach and Alice's head while I listened to his tires turn off the highway. Alice could see as far as Charlie knocking on the door, but not beyond. Too many variables at this point to how Charlie and Bella would respond. As Charlie's car took the turn into our driveway, I felt Bella turn to frozen stone beneath my arm, anxiety pulsing out of her. I watched her face with concern. Tense, very tense, thought Jasper. If she doesn't relax, this isn't going to go. Oh. Surprise filtered through his thoughts as he sensed Bella's anxiety slowly easing. Well done, Bella, he thought softly. She's amazing, Edward. I squeezed Bella proudly. You sure? She asked me. Positive, I answered. You can do anything. I leaned close, kissing her soundly, and she leaned into me, her lips separating slightly, her sweet scent filling my mouth. Edward, Jasper said. You might not want to distract her like that right now. She needs to be able to focus. She's about to drag you to the bedroom. I blinked with surprise and pulled away. Oops. I hadn't realized I was having that effect on her. Bella laughed. Later, she said, and her gaze locked on my face, eyes burning bright. Jeez. Jasper shifted uncomfortably. He was so focused on Bella that her emotions were coursing right through him. He flicked a longing gaze at Alice, who winked and then looked back. Focus, Bella. Right. Bella looked away, but her thoughts must have lingered on me, because Jasper sighed. Give me a break, he thought desperately, as another wave of hot, smothering lust washed over him. If I unleash this on everyone, the situation is going to get ugly in here. Bella, he said warningly.
Sorry, Jasper.
Emmett laughed. Get your mind out of the gutter, woman. Don't believe it. See her for myself. Not Bella. Not my bells. My chest tightened as Charlie's characteristically indistinct thoughts began to break through to me as he drew closer. I could sense heavy disbelief in his mind, even after what Jacob had shown him. Denial was a dangerous but useful thing. I glanced at Bella, knowing her appearance would be an excruciating shock. The car stopped in front. They better answer the door. Done with lies. An angry haze flushed through Charlie's mind as he approached. Who are these people? Should bring her home. My daughter. His heartbeat was a little fast, but impressively steady, although his thoughts were slightly shaded with fear. I caught some jumbled images of Jacob's human and wolf facades, and surprisingly, Jasper's face, revealing the fact that Charlie had always been intuitive enough to be slightly intimidated by my brother. I smiled slightly. Smart man. As he approached the door, Carlyle looked at Bella and then caught my eye. Protect him, he thought. At all cost. I nodded, his message clear. We would betray our inhuman abilities, if there was any indication Charlie was in danger from Bella. God knew the facade was already mostly dropped as it was. We would use all our resources to protect him. I hoped if things did get tenuous, we could physically remove him from the situation before his human eyes could comprehend. It would devastate him to see the uglier side of his daughter's new nature, especially if it was directed towards him. An image of a wild Bella lunging at Charlie appeared in my mind, and I pushed it away with horror. Carlyle's eyes moved to Jasper, who nodded slightly and then stepped closer to Bella. Emmett watched and then shifted his position so he would be in the path of Bella and the door. Alice caught a new vision of Charlie walking across the room towards Bella.
I think it's going to be okay,
she thought. I hugged Bella against me, her warm, firm presence quickly reminding me that fortunately for Charlie, his daughter was in miraculous control of her nature. I needed to remain confident in that. Here goes, Charlie thought. For Bella. He knocked firmly on the door. Carlyle smoothed his features and then moved over to open the door. "Hello, Charlie," he said, his eyes tightening as he remembered the last phone conversation when Esme had assured Charlie that Carlyle was in Atlanta with Bella and myself. "Carlyle?" Annoyance shot through Charlie's mind. Some nerve, hiding my daughter. Where's Bella?
Right here, Dad.
We all cringed as Bella's voice rang out, far too loud for around humans.
Oops,
thought Alice.
Forgot to tell her to tone down her voice.
What was that? Charlie's eyes scanned the room, looking for the source of the unfamiliar voice, his eyes soon resting on Bella's face. Who is that one? Haven't seen before. Oh, God! Bella! Charlie's thoughts contorted, unreadable for a few seconds, as his mind painfully comprehended that the unfamiliar, altered face and body in front of him belonged to the daughter he loved. His mind started shifting through a kaleidoscope of images of Bella, a wailing newborn in Renee's arms, graduation day across the crowd, a sullen preteen with a fishing rod, a young woman with a nervous face in her wedding dress, a toddler seated next to a Christmas tree, chocolate smeared across her young mouth, then Bella's tear-streaked face as we left for the honeymoon, her arms wrapped around him, the last time he had seen her.
I love you forever, Dad. Don't forget that.
You too, Bells. Always have, always will. He stared, unblinking. Oh, Bella. Impossible. How did this happen? Should have protected her. Failed her. My daughter. No. My Bells. Is that you, Bella? He whispered.
Yep.
Bella cringed, her voice too loud again.
Hi, Dad,
she said softly. Really her? Charlie took a deep breath. Jasper was radiating a subtle calm into the room. Hey, Charlie, Jacob said from the corner. How are things? Charlie started and then looked over at Jacob, a flash of his wolf form running through his mind. To think I wanted Bella with him, not human. I felt a flash of grim satisfaction at this thought. Charlie looked back at Bella and began to slowly approach her. My family shifted, tense and ready. as he came within a few feet of Bella. Alice's vision traced his movement, always one step ahead, watching for any sign of interference. Bella remained frozen on the couch, not breathing. Charlie's eyes moved to mine for a moment, anger temporarily eclipsing his thoughts. Did this to her? No good. Leave my daughter alone. Perfect how she was. He looked back at Bella, her differences and similarities even more startling at this close proximity. Eyes wrong, so pale, different. Bella smiled slightly, and he took half a step backwards in surprise, seeing the familiarity in the expression. Bella?
It's really me,
Bella said softly. Bella. The edge of his thoughts shifted slightly to the role of the indignant, angry father. Why?
Sorry, Dad,
Bella mumbled. Are you okay? He demanded. Can take her away right now if she wants.
Really and truly great,
Bella said.
Healthy as a horse.
Her shoulders tightened, and I knew she was out of air. I tightened my grip around her shoulders. Jasper inched closer, his fists opening and closing with anxiety. Alice was concentrating hard, trying to see around Renesmee's blur at the immediate future.
No one's moving. I don't see any struggles. I think she stays on the couch. She's got this.
Jake told me this was necessary. Charlie's voice was questioning. That you were dying? His eyes flickered momentarily to my face. His fault. Why? Been another way? His fault. He looked back at Bella, and I closed my eyes for a brief moment. I understood and accepted his anger. I had taken his daughter, endangered her, and changed her. Opening my eyes, I glanced at Renesmee and knew I would feel the same if it was her. I realized suddenly that Charlie and I shared this now. We were both fathers, and we were both eternally bound by paternal instinct to nurture and protect the daughters we loved. I felt Bella press against me and realized she was about to draw a breath. I heard the air flow down her throat as her shoulders and chest raised slightly. Jasper stiffened behind us. She's burning badly. I hugged her tightly to me, restraining as well as comforting, hating the position she had been put in, and despising that she had to experience pain while we waited for the true measure of her response. After a couple of seconds, Jasper relaxed slightly. In control. Total control.
Jacob was telling you the truth,
Bella said. Truth? Hear it from Jacob? How many lies? That makes one of you, he snapped. The baby, thought Jasper suddenly. Renesmee was beginning to inhale deeply, pulling in Charlie's scent. She was comparing it to Jacob, realizing Charlie's scent was not lined with the less appealing smell of the wolves, more similar to the scent that came from her metal cup. Warm, she thought. The blood in the cup was always cold. Warm. I saw Bella tighten her grip on Renesmee, and Charlie's eyes were drawn to her with a hint of shock. He hadn't even truly realized her presence yet, his whole being having been concentrating on Bella. Oh, he said. This is her? The orphan Jacob said you're adopting? He noted the similarity of hair color between Nessie and me, and suspicion entered his mind. I realized suddenly it would be easier to say as close to the truth as possible, admitting at least a blood relation between Renesmee and myself. Many years of lying had taught me that the closer the lie was to the truth, the easier it was to keep up the deception. Trying to explain that Bella had given birth would be too much, at least for today. Better to start with the story Jacob had given him, and what would probably end up being the standard public story we used for Renesmee: adoption. Truly, I wanted nothing more right now than to claim my daughter as my own, but as she grew and Bella and I remained young, adoption would be the cover story, much as it was for my siblings.
He'll believe it,
thought Alice, seeing a fairly clear vision of Charlie accepting my version of the truth.
I think.
My niece, I said. I thought you lost your family, Charlie growled. Or more lies. I lost my parents. True. My older brother was adopted, like me. I never saw him after that. But the courts located me when he and his wife died in a car accident, leaving their only child without any other family. Well done, son, thought Carlyle. Rosalie rolled her eyes.
Sounds like a bad movie script.
Renesmee's face was buried in Bella's hair. She turned her head slightly towards Charlie, away from Bella, inhaling again, his scent even more potent when not mixed with Bella's. She quickly turned back away, remembering my warning. Striking, thought Charlie with surprise. Look at those cheeks. Well, she's a beauty. Yes, I said. Like her mother. He looked between Bella and me. 18 years? Too young. Kind of a big responsibility, though. You two are just getting started. Renesmee was still inhaling deeply, Charlie's heartbeat starting to thunder in her ears.
Warm. Close. Thirsty.
Alice's vision was still showing the edges of Bella sitting calmly on the couch, but she couldn't see Renesmee at all. It seemed fine, but still, she was young. Her decisions might be impetuous. What else could we do? I said to Charlie, as I reached over and brushed Renesmee's lips with my finger. She glanced at me, her mind replaying my earlier words. He's going to make you thirsty, but you mustn't bite him. Would you have refused her? Humph. Admirable, I suppose. Well, Jake says you call her Nessie. Bella stiffened.
No, we don't,
she snapped.
Her name is Renesmee.
In the corner, Jacob fought back a smile. Charlie looked at me. Young. Too soon. How do you feel about this? Maybe Carlyle and Esme could.
She's mine,
Bella said sharply.
I want her.
Jasper cringed. Too emotional, he thought, upping the calm a little. Charlie was uncertain. You gonna make me a grandpa so young? Carlyle is a grandfather too, I said, smiling at my father. Charlie's eyes darted over to him. Grandfather? Too young to be a father. He laughed once. I guess that does sort of make me feel better. He looked back at Renesmee, leaning slightly closer, as if for a better look. Maybe 4, 6 months old? He remembered Bella at that age, dark hair and ribbons, wide brown eyes. So pretty. She sure is something to look at. He exhaled, sending a current of scent towards us. Cut grass and fresh leaves, combining with a warm, enticing, sanguine breeze.
Ah,
thought Renesmee, his warm breath on her tongue. She leaned towards him, drawn instinctively towards the scent, Bella's hair falling away from her face. The eyes. Charlie stiffened, standing back up straight, a gasp leaving his lips. Eyes, brown, familiar, too familiar. He looked at Bella's face, but in his mind only saw her human face, and back at Renesmee, seeing those human features in her expression, and my own features. Theirs? Bella's? Impossible! I felt like kicking myself, wondering why I had ever imagined he would not see Bella and Renesmee's face. I thought he would be too overwhelmed by the changes in Bella. I had totally underestimated him. I glanced pointedly at Alice, who shrugged.
Oops, my bad.
She raised her eyebrows.
He hadn't seen her eyes yet. That changed everything.
I watched as Charlie's mind filled with a vision of Bella in her wedding dress, as if he was trying to reassess, fit a pregnancy into her slim form. Even if 3 months, 4 months, been a few weeks. Impossible. He mouthed soundlessly, as if counting the months. Jacob suddenly got up and walked over to Charlie. Poor guy. He patted Charlie on the back. Need to know, Charlie. It's okay, I promise. Right. He remembered Jacob telling him Renesmee was special. Now he began to understand. Bella's child. Special. Wait. He swung at me, my face confident in his memory, my earlier words filling his ears. Adopted? My niece? Died in a car accident? Resentment swirled through his mind, and he took a step towards me. Lies, right to my face. I don't want to know everything, but I'm done with the lies, he growled. Totally busted, thought Emmett. I looked at Charlie apologetically. I'm sorry, but you need to know the public story more than you need to know the truth, I said. It was the best way to protect him from the Volturi, although I had no plans to explain that to him. And in protecting him, we protected ourselves. If you're going to be a part of this secret, the public story is the one that counts. It's to protect Bella and Renesmee, as well as the rest of us. Can you go along with the lies for them? I watched Charlie carefully for his reaction, along with the rest of my family. If this had become too much, if Charlie balked now at accepting the facade, we would have to leave now, immediately, putting as much distance between us before he could learn any more of the truth. Not that any of us believed Charlie would betray us, but it would just be too dangerous for him if he inquired too deeply into our nature. If the Volturi appeared to check on Bella, we would not risk being near Charlie if he might draw any of their suspicion. He glared at me. Yeah, for them. You might have given me some warning, kid, he said, looking at Bella.
Would it really have made this any easier?
She asked. Maybe. He knelt down in front of us, bringing his warmth and scent even closer.
Charlie,
thought Nessie, smiling. She reached out to touch him, wanting to show him his face in her thoughts, acknowledge him. Bella wrapped her hand around her waist, pulling her back. She reached another hand up to Bella's neck, her mind filled with Charlie and his scent and warmth and her thirst. "Whoa," said Charlie, looking at her smile. "So many teeth. How old is she?" Bella faltered. 3 months, I said. She actually looked a bit older, but usually people accepted a slightly younger age for us. We always started out younger than we were. It gave us more flexibility. Although when Charlie spent more time with her, he would quickly realize her capabilities were far beyond a 3-month-old, or a 3-year-old. Rather, she's the size of a 3-month-old, more or less. She's younger in some ways, more mature in others. As if to prove my point, Nessie waved at him. His eyes widened. Jacob smiled proudly. "Told you she was special, didn't I?" He nudged Charlie with his elbow. "Ugh," thought Charlie, Jacob's wolf form flashing into his mind. He pulled his arm away. "Oh, come on, Charlie. I'm the same person I've always been. Just pretend this afternoon didn't happen." A quick vision of Jacob phasing in the forest flashed into Charlie's mind, and he cringed. He eyed Jacob for a moment. "Why?" "Just what is your part in this, Jake?" he asked. "How much does Billy know? Why are you here?" "Should we tell him?" An evil grin appeared on Emmett's face. "I'd love to see Charlie's reaction to the idea of Jacob worshipping his 3-month-old granddaughter." I smiled, rather liking the idea. "Well," said Jacob, not about to go in that direction, "I could tell you all about it. Billy knows absolutely everything, but it involves a lot of stuff about werewolf—" "Ugh," Charlie interrupted, covering his ears. "Don't want to know." "Never mind." "Everything's gonna be great, Charlie," said Jacob with a smile. "Because now you know, and they'll be able to stay. Just try not to believe everything you see. Like to forget." Charlie mumbled something under his breath. "Woo!" Emmett bellowed from across the room. "Go Gators!" I turned and stared at him incredulously. He raised an eyebrow back. "Hello, providing distraction here. You're welcome." "Florida winning?" Charlie asked. "Just scored the first touchdown," Emmett replied. He looked suggestively at Bella. "About time somebody scored around here." Bella's eyes narrowed furiously. I glared at him warningly, but his grin just grew wider. "What are you gonna do about it?" Charlie stood up, inhaling deeply, and moved towards the open chair, walking in a wide circle around Jacob. He sat down like he was exhausted. "Football. Now that's something I can believe in." "Well," he said, "I guess we should see if they can hold on to the lead." "Who do you like this year?" asked Emmett. "I think Ohio State is showing good promise." "Oh, I don't know," said Emmett loudly. He turned and stared pointedly at Bella. "I think they don't have what it takes to go all the way." He winked, and Bella growled softly under her breath. I rubbed her arm in sympathy. Unfortunately, once Emmett got started on something, it was next to impossible to stop him until he had completely worn out the joke, and then some. And with Charlie here, I couldn't kick him out the back door and straight over the river, as I'd like to. It was silent for a few seconds. Rosalie sat down on the other side of Bella, smiling at Nessie. Alice, after sending Jacob retreating back to the wall with a stern gaze, had moved behind the couch to stand with Jazz, holding his hand. Carlyle and Esme moved over closer to Charlie's chair, their arms around each other and their eyes on the game. Charlie's gaze wandered over to them, his thoughts becoming slightly uncertain. I wonder how far it goes. You two are really married, right? He asked suddenly. Carlyle and Esme glanced at him in surprise, and then Esme smiled warmly. She reached out and touched Charlie's shoulder gently, his wary eyes following her movement.
Yes, Charlie, we're really married,
she said, laughing quietly. Right, he said. Sorry, of course. He looked to the side, at Rose next to Bella, and then Jasper behind her, and then back to Rose. And you two are really brother and sister? Rose opened and closed her mouth a couple of times, looking desperately at Carlyle. Forget it, Charlie said suddenly. I don't want to know. He looked back at the television, and the atmosphere relaxed, when he suddenly whirled towards us again, glaring between Bella and me. When he left, and you disappeared, was that related to all this stuff? Were you really in California? I always thought...
Dad,
Bella groaned, rolling her eyes.
Please, that's all ancient history.
Right, Charlie mumbled, turning away. Not to me. Forget I said anything. Hey, Charlie, Emmett said loudly. What are your thoughts on the draft for the Seahawks this year? Well, I hope they can grab a cornerback, if they don't pick up one in free agency, Charlie said, distracted. They're sorely lacking, and I think it's a critical position to shore up the defense. Great point, Emmett said. He turned to look at my wife. And what's your favorite position, Bella? I sighed. It was going to be a long afternoon.